Hey guys, thank you so much for joining in. It's your boy, Rain is Fit, aka Lil Fitty, aka The Muscle Hill, and today I'm here joined by a sprinter, a friend of mine, and we were discussing the subject of how to gain muscle and stay athletic, how to avoid injuries, and some exercises to jump higher, sprint faster, and become more athletic overall. Enjoy. Today I'm here with a big inspiration that helped me work harder. He's also a sick videographer, an athlete, and a friend, aka Reed.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Aka Reed Fitness, aka the sprinting god of the fitness community. So you used to be a sprinter, and you were competing in the U18 or U17 age bracket, if I'm not mistaken.
So yeah, I used to do national level sprinting in the actually under 15s and under 17s. So I used to do that a few years ago, and then obviously I got more into gym, and that sort of took over my my life in a sense. But yeah, I have a lot of experience in sort of the athletic field.
Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken with the numbers, your personal best in 200 meters was 23.8 seconds, and in 100 it was 12.5.
Yeah, so those are the I guess the official times for what I did, but I think my 200 at a non-official event was 23.5, and then my 100 is somewhere around the 11-second mark. But yeah, on officially those are my times.
Yeah. I remember sprinting 60 meters in something around 12 seconds. So yeah, that's pretty much. I almost sprinted halfway the distance you sprinted in the same amount of time. Yeah. Oh fuck.
that's gym for you. That's what it can do to you. That's what it can do to you.
Yeah. And you were at your fastest before going to the gym or after?
Well, it depends, because I'm actually doing a competition this coming November, and I haven't competed in probably over a year, and for something that such as 60 meters, when you're very leg dominant and you have a lot of power in your legs, that's the perfect distance for you. So it doesn't take any endurance, any stamina, so it's pure power through those 60s. So if you look at the sort of sprinters which do succeed at those distances, they're usually a lot more big, bulky, sort of strength athletes. And then you'll see that slowly over kind of the course going up to 400 meters, they start to get a little bit more lanky, skinny, and also tall. So in terms of the 60 meters, I'd say gym has definitely helped me. But in terms of stamina, it's extremely hard to keep that balance.
Well, there's a big, a big thing with basketballers, because I used to be one. And what I see right now, I have a lot of friends that still play basketball. They all want to get, bigger and stuff like that to be dominant in the post. But they still want to keep their athleticism, so they ain't a fucking broken Ford. Well, there are 100 Lamborghinis around sprinting top speed, and they're just slowing down.
Yeah.
So, do you think the gym can help them? And what would be your top 2 exercises for getting more massive, gaining mass, and then still keeping your athleticism or even improving it?
Yeah, so what I used to do, what my coach used to tell me, is that I need to get a mix of sort of strength sessions and then just pure hypertrophy sessions, so 8 to 12 reps. So when I was training under his influence, I used to do a lot of heavy squats. Just a lot of leg work, and most of the strength was in the legs, and then we did a lot of hypertrophy upper body. So I guess in a sense, getting that split, I think I used to go training 3 times a week, but then I used to go gym about also 3 times a week. So I'm getting that sort of split can definitely help. I think it's important not just to work on the mass, because obviously if you have no strength coming from that, then it's wasted weight really. So I suppose doing heavy levels, heavy squats, also strengthening your hip abductors. That's a huge thing, because a lot of athletes have extremely strong quads, but they simply don't have the hip abductors to sort of maintain form when they're in a race, but also to get a heavier squat in. So I would say sort of do those exercises, which I see a lot of girls doing in the gym with the hip thrusts. I must say it's not the best feeling doing them, but they can definitely help if you're looking to improve your strength there for sure.
Those aren't the standard exercises you want guys to do, but if they help, I mean, you gotta do what helps you.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And then so basically, you were like doing pretty much power. You could call it like a power building program, right?
Yeah, sort of. So, I mean, it was slightly different in the sense that that wasn't really my mentality because I wasn't doing it to gain power. In a sense, I was kind of doing it to maintain power through my runs. So it's sort of a different mentality. But yeah, you could call it that. Yeah.
Why did you start going to the gym? What was the reason? Why did you start?
In my school, every year they do this sort of this bonding week where I'm sure you probably do it.
Yeah.
Do it too, where you kind of go off with all the new kids and you sort of bond with these team building activities. And this was, I think I was 13. Yeah, so I think I was 13, and we all just ate like so many Haribos, so many sweets throughout the week. And my wanting to go to gym was actually based off of my diet, not really in a sense wanting to get my muscles or get bigger or whatever. That wasn't really my priority at the time. I just wanted to be healthy. So as soon as I came home from that trip, which was just full of just unhealthy, just the worst things, right? I felt just completely lethargic, and I got back. So I just told myself I'd start working out, and then every day in my room, I used to do lots of bodyweight exercises, like planks, a lot of core work. And that's sort of how I got started. And then obviously once I was old enough to go to gym, so around 15 years old, I went as soon as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I've been there and I've done the same thing, like gym wise. But I remember a thing of every athlete I knew, even if they wanted to go pro, when they, a lot of them do the same thing right now. They go into, Lidl or whatever supermarkets you have on in your town, and they go to the section where the sweets are, and they take the fucking Haribos, those tiny little bears.
Yeah, the golden bears.
And I have a question for you. Do you think that junk food overall it puts a cap on your athleticism and your power, what you can bring out for you, energy wise and athleticism wise? Do you think that can be a problem if you want to grow, your athleticism?
Obviously, you have to follow a diet that works for you. It's going to be different for everyone, and I know especially for me that I usually have maybe a few cheat meals a week, especially when I'm training intensely, and those can definitely be beneficial. But I think, for me, I was never one of the type to just go to the Haribos or go to those sweets, because honestly, I think those are sort of things that the more you have, the more you need them because of the sugar addiction, obviously. So for me, it was more just like a huge amount of calories. It doesn't have to be the most unhealthy foods, but it just an extreme surplus in calories. But I think it's just really very athlete dependent. In my case, I never really found that it affected me very much because before races I had a lot of sugar to kind of get me going, and I found it didn't really have much of an effect. It's more a placebo than anything, if I'm honest. I mean, if you think it's helping you, it probably is helping you. So
you basically have to find something that works best for you. It's a thing I've been preaching for ages, because if you do what if Reed told me just eat spaghetti and then potatoes, I'm gonna do that for the rest of my life. No, that's not how it works.
Exactly. Yeah.
And actually, it's an answer I was thinking of. You would say pretty much the same thing.
No, you just have to experiment, find out what works for you, and then sort of adjust accordingly. Because obviously we're all growing up with different backgrounds, we have different conditioning. It's extremely hard to sort of just give someone a meal plan and like hope that's gonna work. You have to make alterations based on your lifestyle.
There are some guys at the gym that are doing a lot of stuff at the same time. And this would be working on their mass, their stamina, and their explosiveness in the same workout. Do you think it can be pulled off effectively?
So, essentially, are you talking about just full body workouts or
No, I'm not talking full body workout. If you go to the gym, I mean, strength and mass, I think combining two of, types of workouts can be pulled off. But I see there are some guys at the gym, they're doing like, I know in one exercise they're doing like 50 reps for 4 sets. Then they go and try to do the strength exercise. And then they try to work on their explosiveness. And they just try to do everything in one workout rather than working out on their explosiveness and then mass and stamina separately. What do you think of that?
I mean, honestly, I think it could be quite beneficial. I know myself sometimes with certain exercises. Say I'm doing some lat pull downs. With those, I tend to go extremely heavy, low reps because I just want to try and build some strength there. And then with another exercise, maybe like some regular rows, I go hypertrophy. So I think including sort of a variation of strength and muscle building, as well as maybe getting some variation of exercise, and I think it can be beneficial. But I think it also depends on sort of your own training style, because some days I prefer to do that, sort of incorporate both of those things, and then other days it just, I don't know, I just lose the motivation to do that. I sort of want to focus on one thing at a time. I have a few friends that do athletics, and they basically base their leg day around their training routine. If they're going to the track on Tuesday, then they have to work out, okay, well, I can do a leg session on Sunday, but it'll have to be mostly strength rather than getting much more lactic acid built up through hypertrophy exercises. So it's kind of you do it based accordingly on your own training style.
What about adding a we've been talking about training mass for mass hypertrophy and strength together. What if you add explosiveness to that? Maybe, I don't know, getting a quick sprints workout in, or maybe not explosiveness, maybe adding some stamina work in with mass and strength. Some stamina work, I don't know, like running 10 kg before hitting the weights or after hitting the weights. What do you think of that? Can that be beneficial, or can that be just too much for your body?
I think it's a great way. I mean, if by all means, if you have the energy to do a 10K, then hit weights, then do all that, then I mean,
yeah,
I'd go for that. Honestly, it just all depends on what your diet's looking like. If you're getting enough to actually maintain or build muscle, or even getting in the right nutrition to sort of accommodate that. But I would definitely say do that. What I used to do is I used to do sled training before I hit a gym session. So I was on the track, I did some sled sprints, did maybe 10 of those, and then I went straight to the gym and I did some strength work. And it does take a toll on your body, that's for sure, but it honestly, you'll find rewards from it. But once again, all just comes back to that main idea that it depends on your own training style. I definitely think if you are eating the right sort of stuff and you have the right mindset for the goal you want, then I think it can be very beneficial.
So if you do a lot of those trainings, there are two sides of there's two sides of a party about sleep. Some say that you need to get solid 8 hours or 10 hours of sleep, and there are some that say sleep doesn't really matter. In which of those parties are you in? I
think sleep does matter. The reason why a lot of people say it doesn't matter is because obviously you can go one day, you can get 5 hours, and genuinely, I think you're fine. You work throughout the day, you'll be fine. Not an issue. But
yeah,
the thing is, if you had 8 hours of sleep, you'd notice the difference between that 5 and that 8. Just in the amount of concentration you have, the motivation, the will to do something. And that obviously that's just my own personal opinion. But I definitely see that if I'm getting maybe 4 or 5 hours, and then I switch to a day where I get 7 and 8, there's a huge difference in my sort of concentration, retention, and the amount of, raw effort that I'm able to put in. And obviously, there'll be no crash later. So it's generally a more stable amount of effort throughout the day.
So maybe right now, let's try something a little bit more interesting. We'll be playing a game called the Fuck, I know. How do you want to call it? You know what I'm talking about.
That's a good question. What do we call it? I don't know. Let's call it the game.
just the game. Just the game.
The game.
Okay. So the rules for this game is I'm gonna be calling a thing you want to improve from your athletic performance, and we both, starting with Reed, will be naming 1 to 2 exercises that can help to achieve that goal. So number 1, jumping higher.
Okay, well, I gotta say box jumps. So some plyometric work. I mean, it's probably the best thing you can do. Just each session, just working up the sort of height which you're jumping. But I also think another way you can improve that on the track is by doing a lot of hurdle work, by literally working on your stretching. So by doing some stretching before and after, some hurdle work. So sort of just coming at the hurdle from sideways, going over and under. That sort of works. That's always an exercise I used to do. But if you're in the gym setting, then a lot of box jumps can help. Definitely.
Yeah, okay. I agree with the box jumps, of course. It's obvious. And then maybe squats. The squat variation working for explosiveness. You're going down a little bit slower, you're doing a slower negative, then coming back up pretty fast.
Yeah, that's true.
If you come up too fast, it can be bad for your knees, so watch out. But if you master the timing, I think that can be a really beneficial exercise for this thingy.
Yeah, for sure, for the thing. Yeah.
So now this will be pretty close to your heart. Running faster.
Running faster. Yeah. What sort of distance are we talking about?
Okay, so let's do two distances. One will be like fucking 100 meters. Okay, 100 meters, and then let's do 100 meters. Let's keep it interesting. 100 meters with 10 seconds rest and repeated for 10 times.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of actual circuit training is really good for speed. And the reason I say that is because not only can you incorporate some strength in circuit training, but you also take some endurance into consideration. Because obviously if you're someone who's super strong, guaranteed they will not be able to keep up a consistent 100 meters. There's no way. You need the endurance in there. So one thing I used to do was I used to go on a sled. So in the gym they can have those too, on the sort of the grass tracks that certain gyms have. So you can do that. You push the sled, or you have it kind of hang behind you. You do a few sprints like that, and then you go jump into something else, another exercise, maybe some push-ups, maybe some squats. And I think doing a lot of circuit training is really good. A good way to incorporate a little bit of everything in quite a short amount of time. So I think that's really beneficial. And then obviously if you're just doing pure, I like to say some strength, but mostly just stamina, then you'd be working obviously between, rep ranges of like 15 plus. So it really just depends. But I think particularly for 100 meters, incorporating that, a little mix of strength and endurance training in sort of a short period of time, just minimal rest, mostly aerobic respiration. I think that's probably the best way. Sorry, anaerobic, not aerobic.
I have nothing really to add here. I completely agree. So we're just gonna go to the next one, and this will be basketball related. Passing the ball faster and stronger on the basketball court.
Okay. Oh god, I have no clue about basketball. I suppose. Oh, it's an interesting one. I'm kind of conflicted between whether to do sort of arm training or shoulders, because essentially if your shoulders, because I don't know about you, but I have quite weak shoulders in comparison to my arms, so I'm not sure how. I'm not sure. I'm curious to find out your answer on this.
So my answer would be, you pretty much said the correct thing. I would work on my front delts, and there can be various ways of working my front delts. One would be just regular bench press, just flat bench press. Then I would work on my triceps. Bench press also helps, and some isolation work for my triceps. I would be working more on the short head, because that would be more important for passes. But yeah, like chest, shoulders, and triceps are the parts of your body that you need to improve if you want to pass the ball much faster. And yeah, this is pretty much it for the exercises. There's not really much to add, except if you have something you would want to like comment on, some athletic ability you can improve at the gym.
Trying to think. Well, we did a lot of ball work actually. There's so many things you can do, and a lot of people at the track are kind of, their ability is in a sense capped by their how strong their core is. So I think it's definitely necessary to include a lot of core training. And those can be included mostly in circuits. But yeah, essentially the core just enables you to like stand up high, keep your form during the run, because a lot of people towards the end of the run start to crumble, slow down, and that's where obviously that's the difference can be made in that last however many meters. So I think strengthening your core, having that really strong core, able to actually have the flexibility also, because obviously you're moving from you're quite a low position, moving up straight and then holding that.
Yeah.
It's actually quite intense. You don't really feel it as much as it's being worked, but definitely you can benefit through doing some core training.
Yeah, core work is really underlooked. I see a lot of guys just working on their chest, legs, and then yeah, core is probably the underdog.
Yeah, for
Let's
sure.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, core is the underdog. And what would be what would be, from ball training, what would be your top 2 or top 3 exercises to work on your core from ball training? Because I actually top 3, because if you're working on your core, you have to keep it in balance. If it's not in balance, you'll have some problems with your back. So one for obliques, one for abs, and one for your back.
So for obliques, my favorite is I think it's Russian twists, where you hold the kettlebell, the ball, and you sit up, just balancing pretty much in the middle, having the ball, and then taking it on either side of your chest. And that works obliques, and it's so important when you're running to have strong obliques, because obviously you're bringing up your legs to your obliques, and by just strengthening that, you're gonna get a lot higher, you're gonna get a lot stronger. It's beneficial. So that's my favorite for obliques. For regular, pretty much the full spectrum of your abs, I do enjoy doing leg raises. I think that gets everything, because you get the full range of motion. So you're pretty much hitting everything, and it's really effective, because you can do about 20 and you'll probably be dead if you do them with the right form. So it's really easy to fatigue. I guess also to sort of reverse that movement, you can do hanging leg raises. That's extremely good. Probably one of the best exercises you can do.
Yes.
And you can do
with proper form.
Exactly. Yeah, with proper form, and you can do different variations of that. So I would recommend that. And then what was the other one you said?
Back, lower back.
For lower back.
Yeah.
Personally, I do stiff leg deadlifts. I find those work actually hamstrings and my lower back really well. I do kind of different variations of that, but I feel like most people would probably say regular deadlifts, but I actually prefer stiff-legged. And then, to be honest, I do those, and I also just do a machine which essentially just concentrates on lower back. So you kind of hold the weight at the top of your back, and then you push back slowly.
Yeah.
So certain training like that, but yeah, I think having the balance between a strong core and a strong lower back is so important. Because I was talking to a physio, and he said that the reason I sort of my form isn't as good as it could be, or I'm not staying up as straight as I could be, is because my core is stronger than my lower back. So I guess having that balance could really help in the race.
Yeah, core is a pretty interesting part of your body, because for me, my abs are strong, but they were not working, so my lower back started to hurt. We'll have to go back to the junk food thing. If there are some tiny little bubbles or something your stomach doesn't like, your core just stops working. It's like you can have the strongest core in the world, but a physio will be able to like push you, a regular guy, not just a physio, will be able to just push you down with just their tiny finger, because your core won't be working. The muscle's still there, it just doesn't work. Okay, so if you had to add 3 inches to your vertical jump, what would you do? Your plan, your gym plan.
Yeah, so I would do a lot of hip flexor training. I think that's super important. I've already mentioned that. So I would incorporate hip thrusts, a lot of that. I would do the abductor machines. I think those are extremely important, because obviously those cap your squat ability. Then I would also incorporate some very heavy squats, maybe four reps maximum, to be honest. And then I would probably finish the workout with plyometric jumps, because obviously at that point you're fatigued, and it also gives you a good benchmark after every single workout to see, even though you're fatigued every time, sort of see what progress you can make from that.
So obviously the supplement industry is huge, and there are some supplements that are bullshit and some that actually work. What would you recommend for guys that are listening to this to supplement to increase their athleticism?
I've done some research into this, and obviously the supplement industry is huge, and it's gonna tell you all these things, and most of them aren't true at all. But I personally think that a lot of people can benefit from creatine, especially when sprinting. And obviously, because we both know that creatine replenishes the ATP cells faster, so you have a lot more energy. And I think that could be extremely beneficial in a sprinting situation. Obviously, you're getting to the last 20 meters of a 100-meter race, and you're fatiguing, your muscles are sore. But this will just give you that little bit extra push to get there. I mean, that's pretty much the main one I've seen some athletes use, sort of in a track formality. I mean, there's plenty that we both know which people at the gym use, but most of them probably aren't necessary. I don't think sprinters or athletes need protein powder, any of that stuff. I think you can get that from a regular diet. I think it's pretty unnecessary.
Whole Foods.
Exactly, yeah, whole food.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think creatine could be beneficial. I also think omega-3s can be good. I've read some things about that being good for strength and also concentration. So I think those two are quite effective.
Yeah, supplementation, if used the right way, it can be super powerful. But sadly, most of the companies and then most of the people that use them, they're not. First of all, the guys that use them, they're not educated. Second of all, the companies, they're pretty sketchy.
Yeah,
like super sketchy. Well, we're starting to wrap this thing up. So, as a warm down, or whatever you call it, in Latvian, that was the direct translation from Latvian.
No, that's about right. That's about right.
Okay. So in warm down. What the fuck did I just say? Let's continue talking about stretching. Yeah. So you obviously told us how can stretching help, and which would be the go 5 stretches you actually do before or after your workouts, and are the stretches before and after your workout the same, or they vary?
I want to be completely honest and say that I mostly only do stretching when it comes to leg day, just because I find my legs are probably the tightest part of my body. More specifically, hip flexors, talks about those. But the best exercise I think I do is when you sit down, you sort of put your feet together, and you align your legs in sort of a triangular position, and you try and place your head as far down close to your legs as possible. There's probably a name for that, but I have no idea what it's called. But that one, it's probably the best. It warms up the abductors, the adductors, everything, the hip flexors. And then obviously for quads, you can just stand up straight, align your knees, and then pull your leg behind your body and then hold it. I think that's probably the best one, just to get it warmed up. But I think dynamic stretches are a lot better than static stretches. With static stretches, you actually have the risk of pulling a muscle, which would be pretty ironic, pulling a muscle in a static stretch before a workout. So I think there's a lot of dynamic stretches you can do, which is what athletes are always doing. You never see athletes doing static stretches at the track. You always see them, bouncing up and down, doing dynamic stretches with just a huge warm up, pretty much a 10 to 15-minute warm up. And that's probably the best way to do it, I think.
And yeah, what do you think of foam rolling?
I think it's extremely painful, but probably very beneficial. I mean, I've been told that you should pretty much foam roll after every single session. And yeah, I agree with that. You can also take a cold bath. That can help with recovery time for fatigued muscles. Yeah, it's painful, but I think it relieves a lot of tension in your muscles.
Yes.
It also can prevent you from getting sort of knots in those certain areas, which is extremely useful.
For foam rolling for me, for legs to be exact, in the last month or two, it's been super easy. So I've been trying to find new ways of making it painful again, because that's what foam rolling is all about. So the thing I do for my hamstrings, which works really well, I take a golf ball, because lacrosse ball, it's a little bit too soft. I take golf ball, I place, it's pretty much like using a foam roller, just a lot more painful. I place my hamstrings on it, and I just roll and stop and release the tension in the most tense spots, the spots that hurt the most. I just breathe through that and release the tension in there. And another thing I've been doing, I'm doing the same thing as you. I'm not really warming up before like any other date and leg day, except the thing I do right now. I always warm up my core, and by this I take a lacrosse ball or the same golf ball. With the golf ball, it's gonna be just super fucking painful, and I just place it down on the ground. I put my stomach on it, and I just roll around.
Oh, like, that must be so painful.
Yeah, that is so fucking painful. But when you stand up, you feel so free. Like, if you're feeling really tensed in your lower back, try doing this. You'll feel super duper free. And I think, you've been going to physiotherapists and stuff like that, and a lot of them tell you 90% of the time, in the place that hurts isn't the place where something wrong about it. Like, for example, if your lower back hurts, it can be your obliques causing the pain. It can be your abs being too weak and causing the pain. If your knees hurt, if it's not an injury, it can be from your quads and hamstrings being outbalanced, and then stuff like that. Another tip for you guys: keep your shit balanced.
Yeah, exactly. So most of the pain pretty much just comes from the imbalance of other muscles. Most of the time, it's not really that direct. There's no link between the causation and the effect usually. So yeah, pretty much just stay balanced. And if you take one thing away from today, always train calves. That's it. Done.
the most painful part to train because it does not grow. God damn it! I tried training it for a year, and I was like, after the first week, I was like, oh no, fuck this, I'm out.
I find you can get better definition, but it's very hard to actually physically put on mass on your calves.
By the way, do you think calves, whatever you want to call them, do they play a major role in increasing your athleticism?
Genuinely, I mean, I've spoken to physios about this, and they say it's probably the least important muscle group in terms of sprinting that you should worry about. I mean, essentially, as long as you can carry yourself, assuming that your quads aren't the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger's or whatever, but if you can carry yourself, then that's the issue in itself. Like, apart from that, you just need to strengthen the hamstrings. Hamstrings are extremely important actually when you're sprinting, because when you pull up, as soon as you pull your legs up, that's the only thing which is working for that split second.
Yeah.
And that's actually most of the time that I've had injuries was just because I've pulled a hamstring. So I've had to incorporate a lot of strength training just to try and fix that. Not obviously hypertrophy, just strength. And I can honestly say it's been so beneficial. And then just get that balance between the quads and the hamstrings. But in terms of how useful calves are, pretty much they're aesthetic. They're aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
Who wants big quads with tiny calves? It's not nice to look at. But
gym bros
in
do.
terms of, sorry,
gym bros do.
That's true. But yeah, in terms of how useful it is, it's very minimal.
Okay, yeah. So in a nutshell, to conclude, to grow your athleticism, fuck the upper body, focus on your legs.
Yeah.
be the opposite of the chicken legs. Be the chicken upper body. No, don't do that.
Just balance everything. Just
Yeah. Balance everything. If you work on your quads, work on your hamstrings, you work on your chest, work on your upper back, and balance everything out. Live in harmony. Peace, love, and positivity. This should be a wrap-up, guys. Thank you, Reed, so much for joining. It's been a wonderful half an hour speaking to you.
You're very welcome.
You have a beautiful voice, by the way.
Oh, really? Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to say the same for you, but yeah.
Oh, Oh, I said it first. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I mean, not for watching. If you're on YouTube, you're watching. If you're not, then you're listening. So yeah, just to wrap up, do a plug. This is the time when you do the plug.
So yeah, my Instagram is read_fitness for now. And then my YouTube's also Reed Owen. And yeah, I do sort of gym motivation, lifestyle, content creation, that sort of stuff. So if you do enjoy that, then check me out.
Just follow him. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Okay. Thank you so much for taking your time and being on this awesome show, the best show in the world. Yeah. Peace.